I hope this isn't too loud, but anyways, my name's Dr. Andrew. Downtown Doctor. Don't call me Downtown D. Don't call me D Doctor. I don't want to hear it. Everything else is okay though. I'm gonna plug this in. This is my little, I don't know if I showed this bad boy. It's the magnetic charger. What I deem to be the best charger on the market today. The little connector goes right into the bottom of the phone, or wherever the plug-in for the phone is. I have a C-type charger, and then this part here, which lights up, it just sticks, just like that. And I can just pull it off and on. Off, on. It's beautiful. So that has really helped aid me in my phone charging endeavors because I don't have to waste any more time connecting my phone charger, buying new phone chargers, or anything to do with phone chargers. I hate phone chargers for all they're worth. I wish that there was a different way to do it, but unfortunately, that's how the way the world goes today. We've got to charge our devices and figure out a plan to keep our phones as charged as we possibly can, or if they're not charged, charge them as quickly as we possibly can. So the only thing I don't like about this charger, I will specify, I may have done it in a previous video, but honestly, like I've had such a long day that I'm not all there right now. So the charger doesn't have compatibility. Oh, darn it. The charger doesn't have compatibility with transferring files onto a PC. So that is one thing that I've noticed about the use of these things. They're not that useful in that way. So they only charge. That's it. That's one downfall to the magnetic charger that I've managed to piece together here. However, their durability is great. Their magnet actually magnetizes perfectly. It's not too tight. It's not too loose. I work with addicts. I'm going to be straight up. I work with addicts and codependents every day. Alcoholics alike. I never met an alcoholic that's not an addict. I never met a codependent that's not an addict in some type of way. Addiction runs rampant in this world. However, I want to clarify, because I know I just opened a can of worms there that's going to spark a lot of conversation and many thoughts in the minds of many. So I want to say, not every addiction is deadly. Not every addiction is bad. Take coffee, for example. Video games. Although not deadly addictions and not particularly harmful if done in moderation, these things can have a detrimental effect on somebody's health if that's all they do. All that aside, those things will never kill somebody in and of themselves. The repercussions of the behavior as a result of doing those behaviors for far too long or too much or too often will damper just about anybody. I know for me, I used to play video games 24/7. Especially after I got into recovery for a short period of time, I became heavily addicted to what would be known as one of the most popular, call it a role-playing game. I don't consider it a role-playing game quite like League of Legends or World of Warcraft, WoW as it's commonly referred to by many of the internet demons today. I've never played WoW, I've never played League of Legends, but I've certainly watched others play them. And I can tell you one thing about those games from my own perspective. I'm not interested, and that's the way it's probably going to stay forever. So, that being said, I move on to my experience with The Division. I call it a role-playing game because it's played in an enclosed area, a map, and there are many players on each server, one server consisting of a maximum of a certain amount of players that can be on that server at any given time, ad infinitum servers. So there could be 100 servers with, say, 20 people on each one, but all playing on the same map. But you have to be on that server to see the players that are in that server. So basically a server would be no different than a city. So San Francisco might be a server, New York might be a server. Players in New York can't see the players in San Francisco, and the players in San Francisco can't see the players in New York, but they're all on the same map. So that's basically the easiest way I can define a role-playing game. Now, this is a player versus player role-playing game, and I don't know why I'm going all in depth about that. I'm not here to talk about video games. I'm not here to talk about role-playing games. I'm not here to talk about, oh yes, I was here to talk about basically just my thoughts. That's really all this video is about. Nothing special. I know I've been doing some really weird videos lately. I've been doing some rap freestyles. I am not a professional rapper. Oh my god. I couldn't even begin to describe to you. My experience with rapping is not often. The 5 freestyles that I've done online are certainly my best 5, but I can certainly admit that I don't do that very often. So I probably won't be doing those too frequently. I feel an incredible sense of guilt. I must admit, after I do those videos, I feel just like this negative energy come over me because I've just basically told off every female on the planet. Like, let's just talk about my freestyles for a sec. And just about every freestyle that's out there in today's day and age, 2019. I pretty much discriminate against all women. I usually use a racial slur or two in each of my videos. Racial slur that other people would consider racial slurs, like by common consensus. Me personally, I'm not racist, and I don't consider the way I use those racial slurs in my freestyles to be racist. I am not thinking of it in a racist way when I say it. But other people won't see it that way, and I understand that. So anyways, yes, with that being said, I'm going to move on to the next part. I basically tell off all people. I rhyme off just about every single person on the planet and find something negative to say about them. Because the heart and soul of my freestyles comes from a place of anger and frustration. Just being fed up, pissed off with everything. And bubbling over into a jumbled mess of not thought of, like not written down. Like I do think of the words before. I'll hear the words either in song or sometimes I'll just think of the verses on my own, like, but it'll be related to something that I've heard in one of the other freestyles. Usually on YouTube. I usually find them somewhere in the realm of YouTube where I was first introduced actually to this type of music. Actually, now that I think about it, it was on Spotify. I was just browsing the Spotify playlists one day, and I came across quite an interesting song. I believe it was Super Soaker by Hardy Caprio. Yeah, that was the first ever UK rap that I was introduced to. I didn't think of it as UK rap at the time though. I just thought of it honestly as like vacation music, like because it's got all these like jingles and bells in it and things like that. And I just thought, you know, this is literally what I would listen to if I was partying on the beach at night in Hawaii or something like that, or in Tahiti, some hot area where you could just party on the beach at night and listen to all these rappers talk about money, drugs, and sex. Which at the time was a good diversion from what I was going through. At that time, relatively close to a year ago, I started listening to this music. I found it to be very hard. I got into not just that song, but I started branching, because what Spotify does is it helps. It's a music app, free by the way, and it just basically like branches. It gives suggested songs off of the song that you're listening to, and then all of a sudden I've got a whole playlist, and I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? Now I have a whole playlist of Hardy Caprio related rap. So by the end of that, I had rappers like Joe Black, Abracadabra, Digga D, and the list goes on of just Heady One, RV, like all these UK rap artists that just totally blow the shit away from any Americanized or North Americanized rap that I've ever heard. Like, just doesn't even come close, you know, to some of the stuff that we have over here in Canada that I've heard from Canadian or you. And I'm not. See, again, I'm not going against my country. I'm not going against the States. I'm just giving my view on what I like, and I think it's kind of like eating food in a way. I'm Italian. I'm also native, Ojibwe, Canadian, Ojibwe. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I still like to eat a certain portion of food, like certain kind of food. I stay away from the Indian foods, the curries and things like that. I'm not a huge fan of many Chinese foods. I can't say that I would eat most foods from that whole area, that whole European area actually. Save but for a few different spots. I don't get into sushi. I'm not a big raw seafood fan for the most part. But how I can kind of relate that to music is like everybody has their own taste, no matter if I'm from Canada or China. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be eating the foods from that land as much as somewhere else. Like, one of my favorite foods to eat is tacos. I love burritos, anything wrapped in a tortilla. I like chicken, I like beef, I like steak, and those things all go very well in fajitas and tacos and things like that. So my ideal thing, like for convenience and just overall goodness, would be a fajita with either steak or chicken or beef, peppers, rice, beans, like Mexican refried beans, and then maybe like black beans, like whole, steamed, corn, and that would be like right off the cob, fresh. Not some of that canned crap that people will put in their food these days. Because they want the easy way out. They just want to take the less expensive and the less, takes less to prepare and this and that, but it doesn't compare to the flavor that real food, like actual corn, can produce. So if I had the option And today I do. I have the time, I have the energy, and if I really put my mind to it, I would have the money to purchase all this stuff and do that on a regular basis. But right now, that's just not the case. I'm not going to pull any punches here and say that I'm financially well off. Anybody that's followed this channel, anybody that's new, it doesn't matter. You will soon find out that I'm not the most financially well off man in the world. But the sad part is, like, when I get down to the nitty-gritty, that the amount of income that I make each month, although limited as it may be, I'm living in the black currently. If we take away all of my debt that I can't pay off, they're not coming after me for it. And they'll get paid when they get paid. I don't factor that into my monthly expenses. So really it's not even there. I'm living in the black, which most people in today's day and age aren't. They buy houses, they buy cars, they buy jewelry, and it's all on credit. And they'll say that, I have this and that, a boat, whatever. They don't have it. It's not theirs to own. They don't own it. They just have it. And they're making monthly payments with 20-30% interest a lot of the time. Unless they get a good deal, then they're not paying as much. The interest rates are average 5 to 10% on that stuff. With good credit. I don't have good credit. Not after, many addicts, I'm an addict myself, many addicts do not have good credit. The reason we don't have good credit, especially by the time we get into recovery, we've usually destroyed all of our credit by taking out credit cards, loans that we intended to pay back, but really, if you look at the results of our lives, we never really intended to pay it back. It was just lip service is basically what it was. Is, I'll pay you back. Yeah, like, I'll do you a solid. Absolutely. Just give me that money now and I got you later. Like, you know what I'm saying? But back in the day, I would have told you anything to get whatever I thought I needed in that moment. I would have just made up a story. And I would have embellished it or minimized it or, God, anything but the truth. Anything but the truth to get exactly the amount necessary to fund my addiction, whatever it may be. I could even have just wanted to go shopping that day and made up a sob story to mom just to get money to go out and purchase a new set of clothes. And this is all, there's no reason to feel guilty or ashamed of any of that stuff. We do that. We do that as kids, as addicts. We're taught to manipulate the system and cheat the system, lie our way through life to get things. And again, that's all it amounts to, is just, these are things. That's all it really is. It's just stuff. How important is it? In the end, it's not important. It's not important how many clothes I have in my dresser drawer at the end of the day. It's not important how many sweaters I have in my closet at the end of the day. It's not important how many different colors of credit cards I have in my wallet at the end of the day. It's not important how many different whatevers I can have at the end of the day. None of it matters. Needs are essential. Yes, I get that. I understand that. And I'm working my tushy off in order to be able to get my money right. But that takes time, and the way I'm doing it, I'm creating financial security for a future. Not just for a couple of months, not just for a year or 2 years. My plan is a lifetime plan. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun. It's actually been very painful and remains as such. An incredibly stressful and tough climb to financial freedom that I never wanted to have happen this way. But I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be, because if I wasn't, I would be somewhere else. I'm on the path, and anybody can be on this path. You can be on this path. Joe Blow, who lives down the street, can be on this path. But most people do not choose this path. And I honestly believe that I didn't choose this path either. I truly believe that this path chooses the select few chosen ones, and I am one of those people. I'm one of those fortunates that has had such a life that affords me the opportunity to be sitting here in this prime position to rise up and not be like the people that taught me in my early years how to make money, how to be financially well, how to be well in a career, how to do good in life, employment-wise. And they're so steadfast in their beliefs. Do this, do that, go to school, get an education. Although that does help, yes, it's not the only way. And for me and many others, just go ask Mark Zuckerberg, go ask anybody. They'll tell you. University and college educations are not all they're cracked up to be. A piece of paper, a plaque on a wall, that may give people credibility in this world, but inside, deep inside, they're not always authentic to who they truly are. That's not what they're meant to do. They just do it for money. They do it for recognition. They do it because their family placed pressures on them to be that way. The men wanted to be like their fathers, and the women wanted to be like their mothers. I broke loose from that chain. Although there are aspects of my father, yes, that I do think well of and I want to be like. There's one aspect about my father, and he knows this, we've talked about this, that I don't want to be like, and that is, he is a salesman. I'm not going to give too much information on it. It's illegal sales. He doesn't deal drugs or anything like that. I just don't want to talk about his life. That's why I'm just kind of saying that much, and that's all I'll say for now. If he wants to share more, he'll talk to you. Or maybe he'll give me permission to delve deeper into that someday, but for now, that's all I feel I can say, and that's all I feel that I'm entitled to say about somebody else's life that I don't know. I don't know how much he'd want to share on the channel. I don't even know if he watches the channel. But one thing I do know is I don't want to be a traveling salesman. I don't want to live out of my car. I don't want to be on the roads, living in hotels and eating in restaurants all the time. I want to stay in one spot. I want to live in town or just outside of town. I want to have my own place. And I want to be comfy. I want to be comfy in my hands. So that's what I'm working toward. I work from home. I keep it simple. I do as much as I can in one day and I leave the rest for the next day. The work's never ending. Most of what I'm doing now is very menial, tedious, boring stuff. Stuff that people just wouldn't want to do. If being the boss was the fun life to have, everybody would be the boss. Everybody would be doing what I'm doing. Everybody would be working their way up the corporate ladder on their own clock, doing it their own way, doing it the right way, like I'm doing. But many just don't have that motivation or independence. Many of them don't have the support. to do this the way I'm doing it. This is going to take years, but it's being done legally and it's being done appropriately. I had to cut out so many things out of my life. I had to tell so many people no to get to where I'm at today, and I have to continue to be that way. But you know what? It gets easier every day. I don't carry around other people's feelings anymore regarding my life. If people want to get angry, people want to hate, people want to feel hurt or sad or self-pity or anything at all over how I'm living, they can do that. But I don't see it. I don't hear it. I'm not listening to them. They're not telling me. And if they are, I'm just turning a blind eye and I'm letting it go in one ear and out the other because it really doesn't affect me. The haters give us the greatest gas as leaders. We're often rejected. We're told things that are not true about ourselves. We're told off many times per day, ignored, told that we are not good enough, and blah, blah, blah. The list goes on of things that I am constantly told I am or am not each day by people that have no qualifications or knowledge necessary to give such indications about anybody's life. They don't even know themselves. So how they can continue to tell me who I am is just beyond me. But we all know somebody out there, or many, who are like that. They'll just one second here. They'll just continue to be that way. And I can't change them. I don't want to. I don't care to know why they're like that. I just know that my authentic self is pure love. I'm a pure love spirit, which is nothing but kindness and generosity toward others, toward self. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But over the years, our souls get corrupted by lust, greed, selfish desires, and the list goes on. And now we have to cope. We have to cope with the losses of all that. Loss of relationships that were never even started as a result of being so wrapped up in self-obsessive behavior. Sickness. People pent up in the hospitals for years, in bed, not moving, dead, because of the choices, or, well, I guess not always choices, but because of the behavior that they've done. And now they're paying the consequences for the rest of their life. Sometimes it's just temporary. Other times it's not. Other times it leads to permanent isolation or quarantine, and soon after death because of what they've done to themselves as a result of their life. This is most people. They're not always that way. Some people actually they get themselves into situations where they're not at fault. I have a brother from another mother who was hit by a car when he was preteen. I think he was 12 years old, by a drunk driver. Him and his family was walking on the side of the road, and got struck by a vehicle moving by a drunk driver. He's now 45 years old and he has severe brain damage as a result of being in that accident. And he had no responsibility for that accident whatsoever. Couldn't have seen it coming. Once in a million, once in a billion. I've never heard of that happening to anybody else. He is alive, but he's very morbid in his thoughts. He's often suicidal in his sharing. Would rather be dead than alive, but understands that being alive is all he'll ever have because he's not willing to commit suicide. And he's not a criminal, so he's not likely to be killed by anybody else. He doesn't step on the toes of his fellows. He's usually the person that keeps to himself and just goes about his business. Doesn't really mind other people in a way that would piss them off. So I think it's safe to say that he'll live for maybe another 10, 20 years based off of his health as it is now. If he's fortunate enough. He's sober. He's doing well. He lives here in town, and he will continue to thrive in that way for all he's been through, and as a result of having that brain damage and not really being able to live a normal life as somebody else would without that type of brain damage. Again, it all just goes back to unfortunate turns of events where some people just get the short end of the stick, they get the raw deal in life. And when we come down to think about it, oh, my coffee didn't get served to me properly today, or whatever, whatever small problem I may be facing today, like, doesn't seem as big anymore because I hear stories like that. It's an eye opener to me. It's like, wow, you know what? My poor financial situation now all of a sudden doesn't look that bad because I can actually do something about it. And he can't, he's powerless over brain damage, can't reverse it, it's irreversible. My financial state is not irreversible. It's easily squanderable if I fuck it up by doing something stupid, but I don't intend to do that, and I'm balanced today, so it's been that way for quite some time now. I don't think that'll ever change. I've been through enough now to realize the value of life, the value of a dollar, the value of relationships. They all have tremendous value to me, and I wouldn't trade them for any amount of anything, ever. So, I don't know if that helps. It certainly helped me. If it doesn't help now, it may help somewhere later on down the road. I just needed to get a few things off my chest. I gotta talk about this stuff because we go through life, we carry around so much weight, so much unnecessary baggage, and sometimes we just gotta shed it. It's like a snake, it's gotta shed their skin every once in a while. Well, it's the same thing with humans. We gotta shed our feelings, we gotta shed our baggage, we gotta get that stuff out, and then just move on with our life. So, I just thought it weird. I drank one coffee today, and it's 3:30 in the morning, and I'm still going. I'm going through headaches the last couple of days, like really powerful. Like my body feels like it's expanding, like to the point where it's just gonna burst. Like my entire body just gonna pop. Skin come off and just splatter all over the walls, like just a nasty corpse and blood and guts all over everything. Pressure. And from what? Like just overloaded with work. Meetings. I do like 8 meetings a day. In and out of meetings. I chaired 2 meetings today. Like, I can't be doing more meetings. I can't. I might even think about doing less. So, within the last 24 hours, it's just been nonstop. Go. I'm on YouTube X. I'm working my program. I'm doing my thing. I'm everywhere. I'm worldwide. I help people. I'm a doctor. I listen to people's problems and I offer them solutions. If they don't accept it, I don't care. I've done my part. I've carried the message. And I expect the same return. I get that. That's why I expect it. So I don't think it's a bad thing to expect what we're already getting, because as I'm seeing it happen, I'm expecting it to continue. And it does, so I grow in my faith that way. So that's all I have to say. I don't have to say much. I have no feelings right now regarding any more things. I just wish this pain would go away. It's not the worst pain I've ever felt. And I'm not hurting over anything in particular. I just wish that the tension of the body would give way to something different. And I know that there's a resistance, a heavy resistance that I'm facing at the moment, and I can't figure out what it is. I can't figure out why I'm all of a sudden just bursting at the seams with all this pain. I'm carrying around all this pain. And most of it's not even mine. Like, most of it's friends, family members. They're sharing their pain with me, and I'm taking that in internally. And it's just killing me. It's eating me away right at the core. I feel it in my gut. It's in my back. It's in my legs. It's in my arms. Everything's tense. Like, I'm a madman. An absolute savage. And the only thing that counteracts that is getting this out, just eradicating it from my system. There's one thing that we do in the medical profession. We don't fix ourselves. Nobody can do that. Nobody can diagnose their own problems effectively and give a realistic view of themselves. I need others to do that for me, and I have a small circle of people that do that for me. I will tell you that. I'm well taken care of. I'm well connected. I would probably stretch it even so far as to say I'm one of the most well connected men in the world regarding recovery from addiction, codependency, anything personal. I didn't intend it to be this way. It just kind of flourished into a network of people that really have my best interests in mind most of the time. It's just dumbfounding how many people are out there doing the same thing I am 24/7. We're just out here. We're live. And we're never going to stop. There's no reason to stop. The disease is progressive. It's like a malignant cancer. It never stops progressing. But it will never kill somebody as long as it's treated. It will never outright just kill me as long as I treat my disease. It's not like cancer in that way where once you're done, you're done. You got 6 months to live and that's it, even if you treat it. With this, it's treatable until you die, and hopefully you die sober. That's the goal for every addict, alcoholic, and codependent, is that we die with emotional sobriety. We die peacefully. We do contract illnesses like cancer and other things like Lou Gehrig's disease, where we're just corpses by the end of our lives, but nothing related to the actual disease itself. Like, some people get involved in smoking cigarettes. I'm not one of those people. I quit. It's been over a year now since I last picked up any nicotine, and man, do I ever feel good about my life in that regard. The crutch is now gone. That's your reward in and of itself. I don't have to hold that little 5-inch stick every hour. I don't have to go searching for a lighter and wonder where the fuck did my lighter go. How funny is that just about every smoker carries around cigarettes, but they never have a fucking lighter. And if they have a lighter, they never have a backup lighter. It's like, once I lose that lighter, man, I'm done. My day is done. I gotta go searching for a lighter. That's the end of it. But it's like an hourly addiction. I should have 24 lighters. What if I lose a lighter an hour? Give one to a friend. Someone else steals one from me. And this is just stuff that happens. Everybody does it. So, see a lighter, you pick it up, you light your smoke, you put the lighter in your pocket, thinking it's your lighter. And you just took your friend's last lighter. You go home, and now he's left without a lighter, and he's just like, where the fuck did my lighter go? And now he has to go steal a lighter off someone else. And now nobody has any lighters, because he loses that lighter. Buddy doesn't have a lighter. The one who took the lighter home, he probably dropped it on the ground on the way home or gave it to a bum who put it in his pocket. And now he's got a cigarette lit. He's got the lighter. And everybody else is fucked. Fuck. Subscribe to the fucking channel. And fuck off. Good.